Hey, Gavox here. So, I made Ranked Seasons World Series, and I went undefeated to do it. I guess it wasn't that big of a deal because it was only 10-0 to get there because I made World Series last series 2 or season 2. So season 1 and 2 World Series are done, and that's great and all. So good at the game, but I'm quitting making YouTube content on it for now. And I'm gonna go over the reasons why. And that's what this video is about. I'll show World Series, some of the rewards I got and stuff too, but I kind of want to talk about like some of the frustrations I have, and I kind of lost a little bit of passion for the game due to those frustrations and another love that's come up. So I might play it from time to time, maybe on stream a little bit, jump back in, and we'll get when that's going to happen and not go forward. But YouTube content is officially over. As for the second channel, I'll probably go back to Madden gameplay, or I will probably, or if I decide on Total War, my other love, the Three Kingdoms, might upload some things on that too, but I don't know if we'll see. That's still to be decided what I'm going to do with the second channel for this summer, because once Madden 20 hits, that will be a game. It will be a gameplay channel again, just like it was during 19. So I hit it. Great. So all right, I'm good at the game. Okay, so it's not like I suck. World Series 2 seasons in a row. Standings, if we want to look at, I think it'd be lifetime. My overall batting average online is 341. So I'm hitting the ball well. As you see at the bottom, I'm tummy sticks, okay? Not the U. So 341 overall hitting. Solid, okay? Pitching, my ERA was 2.76. So I wasn't bad at pitching either. I think I was better at hitting than I was at pitching. But whip, anyways. So those are my stats. Why am I frustrated with the game? I don't think the game is bad overall. Don't take that as. I still like the game. I still think it's probably the best baseball simulator we've played. Now, your arguments about franchise are correct. I don't want to hear them. I actually put a lot more time into out of the park baseball for franchise than I do in the show, because that's an amazing franchise mode. And I've sunk hundreds of hours into it. So that is it. I think some of the frustrations that come with Diamond Dynasty is a little bit of the team building, a little bit of the gameplay. I'm going to go gameplay first, and then I'll go to team building last for and why Diamond Dynasty, and I feel the way it is. So overall, I don't think hitting is rewarding. You're like, well, you hit really well. Don't you like it? Yes and no. Like, yes, it's cool to hit very well, but no in the fact, like, I think with my batting average, so when you play a player and they get these cheap hits, you're like, oh, God, they get cheap hits. But in the end, you get cheap hits too. So in the end, that kind of averages out with all the bad hits, the drop, like the fluke, the shit that happens. And fluke is some of the worst part about MLB. I wish they, like, so my batting average at whatever it is, I wish they'd take that and take like the bad hits and convert them when you actually square up the balls and convert more of those into hits. So take away more of the like those blue Texas leaguers. They're great to have, and they should be in the game because they're in baseball. But maybe make the line drives a little bit more rewarding, so it's kind of like shifting categories of hits to the other one for when you square it up, and that happens. In addition, like, a lot of my team was based around power. In 18, it was very power based. This year, it's much more contact based, and you need contact and vision to do well. It's a lot harder to hit home runs with some of the best power hitters of all time. I just got Frank Thomas, so he doesn't have any stats, but using these great power hitters, unless you're playing at Ship It July 1st with the wind blowing out, it is very hard to hit home runs in this game. And even sometimes hitting home runs, they'll allow you to miss the ball and hit home runs. And then when you square it up, you'll make outs or line drives or ground balls. And it's just frustrating that when you play slightly worse, you get more rewarded, or it feels more fluky. Like, oh, I missed that fastball, but oh, wait, that's really carrying. What's the deal with that? Why is that going out of the park when I didn't do that well as a video game player, when I actually played worse? It's like, if you play Street Fighter and you press the wrong button, but then you're rewarded for it. Sure, okay. Maybe that happens. Maybe you actually did well. Maybe that's a bad example. But, like, if you mean to block but you strike and they're able to get off the combo or something, that's what should happen. Like, if you make a mistake, I feel like you shouldn't be rewarded in a video game, at least. IRL, maybe a ball bounces off your chest and goes right to the first baseman. I don't know. That kind of fluke, it happens. I don't know. I really don't know, because fluke is real life, right? Should it be part of a video game? I think a little bit. I think a little bit of fluke should happen, but when it happens so often, it's just frustrating. I think that's the biggest issue. The fielding animations are tough too. But like, going back to the let me go to batting before I move on to fielding. So like, frequently you'll get like a good okay on the feedback when your PCI is in the middle of the ball, or very close to the middle of your PCI, and it's like, What did I do wrong? Why did I get only an okay contact? They talk about the PCI being where the batter's looking, and it's like a cop-out. It almost feels like from them, like they're looking there, but they still put a bad swing on it. It's like, well, how do you guarantee good swings? Can you not do that? It's not something, because like the PCI, oftentimes if you're on top of it with the PCI, the ball will go on the ground, and the reverse. If you're under it with the PCI, the ball will go up. So like it's not. They said it's not the barrel of the bat, but it's where you're looking. And I don't know. It's a good excuse. I'll give it to him, but it still feels like that's a lot of the outcome based, like where you are with the PCIs, the ball's going to get lower or higher. And I can see a lot of arguments stemming from that. I don't really want to get into it. I just would like it a little bit more rewarding when you actually put the PCI on the ball rather than not. So like I've missed balls before and hit home runs. Like just yesterday on my Grinder World Series, had to win a few games. Willie Mays, I missed a fastball under it, home run. I was like, really? That was the home run, not the other squared up hits that I had? So batting is frustrating, and batting is basically the entire game, right? Like it should be better, right? Like it's better than last year, and there's progress from 18. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely progress. They just gotta find like a middle ground between too rewarding, maybe veteran all-star gets a little too rewarding at time with high-end hitters, to like Hall of Fame legend where it's not rewarding enough. Whether it's the pitch speed, it's being able to fall off balls that you're late or very early on. I know they patched that. The patches we'll get to in a little bit to make them harder to hit when you miss them, but they're still a little easy on All-Star when you're completely mistiming it and it's in the dirt to fall it off and stay alive in that order where you really should swing and miss. So, like All-Star, and it's frustrating to see a lot of the community is split on this game too, because the gameplay is completely different between All-Star and Hall of Fame. Like when I was talking about with Ship It at July 1st, like that's on Hall of Fame and above. Like hitting home runs is very hard in Hall of Fame. All-Star, it's fine. All-Star hitting, the ball explodes off the bat. So don't worry about that. That's not the complaint that I'm having. It's Hall of Fame. I should have mentioned that. So All-Star, and the way the game plays so differently, it's unideal to me to switch it like that. I don't know what their solution would be to make All-Star easier for hitters, but Hall of Fame not too rewarding for pitchers. Like when you look at my pitching staff, when you look at the whole thing, these guys that I've had, they're all like 1 ERAs, and this is like through online shit. And like Kershaw 1.8, Greinke 1.1, Blyleven, who I barely pitched with, Vita, who I've pitched more with, 0.49 online innings, and then like obviously there's guys on my bench that I've pitched with. Hershiser, 87 innings, 1.33 ERA. And it's like, you know, Hershiser pitching on both All-Star and Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame, he's very good. The sinker's very good in this game. But it's so frustrating to see how good the pitching is. And it's like, is it overwhelming? It feels like a little bit when you're in the higher levels, because every single game's kind of like, at times, except for Ship It in July. Like I said, that's a good offensive thing if you want offense. But every other stadium, especially the wind's blowing, it's like a hurricane's blowing right in your face. It's really frustrating when the ball comes in and you good square up a ball and the ball leaves the bat slower than it was pitched. If Nolan Ryan throws a ball, a fastball going 99, 100, 101, and you good square it up and the ball comes out at 95, that is so frustrating. I don't even know. That's like Hall of Fame in a nutshell. And it is like just anti-physics. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's kind of my biggest frustration is the hitting. Now let's get into fielding. Fielding, we still have a few issues. Like I think throw canceling is a bit of a problem. So when you throw to a base, and then you're like, oh wait, no, I want to throw to another base. Even when you queue it up, it feels like when you queue it up for the new base in time, they still go through the whole animation, and it often screws you. And now you can say, oh, that's punishing you for making a bad first button press. Cool. Is that fun? Is that real life? Is that okay? I don't think so. I think if you press a button, you're like, oh no, I want to go here. You press a different button. I think it should switch quicker. Sometimes you see this happen, and sometimes it works beautifully. But sometimes you press it instead of like going like this and then stop, then going again, like doing a double take like they do in real life. You know, guys like and then throw. They don't do that in the show, and I hate it. They go through the entire throw motion. That needs to go. Fielders, you know, we've seen a little bit of the lack of lock on get patched. Like I talked about, some of that's moving in the right direction. We'll get to patches later. So fielding Still, they act a little bit lackadaisical at times, and it sucks. That is very frustrating to see you kind of like just rainbow throw a ball in or throw it in casually. I don't know if they need to recognize with the AI a little bit more with base runners on and hurry up a little bit more, because when you're casually strolling in the outfield, your outfielder's jogging to the ball while the guy's running third going for home, you're very frustrated at the game. That really triggers me, and it has happened to me before. Unable to throw a guy out home plate because Tony Gwynn jogged to the ball and then just threw it in all casual like home, and he scored a tying run on that. So that's tough. Like, and all these things added together just increases the fluke. Like I'm not saying like the better player is still gonna win. Like the better player will still win a majority of his games, but when you get fluked out of some losses, it hurts. It really does hurt. Even though I win 80% of my games or just around there, it's still those few losses that I have that just stick out in your mind so hard because of those fluke things. So it hurts. Base running issues. You guys have run into these, right? I think like guys rounding the bases, guys getting thrown out at first base from right field because they're like either not fast enough or the ballpark's not big enough, or they go into the base and they kind of like slowly round it. Just yesterday, a guy hit a ball. I cut it out. Like a guy was on like I think second base, hit it to right field or something like that. Or he was on first. I don't know. No, he was on first base, stealing second. Hit it to right field. So I throw the ball to my first baseman, and the guy who hit the ball rounded the base, and I just took my first baseman and tagged his guy out. And the guy quit right after that. That was so frustrating. I'm sure for my opponent. There was no reason for his guy in first to turn. Now, I don't know if he accidentally hit the button or not to move him and then put it back, but it sure didn't seem like it. He didn't go very far off the base before he went right back to it. So being able to throw out, I've seen Ricky Henderson being thrown out from right field to first base on a ball hit on the ground to right field. That's insane. And Ricky Henderson was busting his ass out of the box, it looked like. So that's tough. Getting thrown on first base a lot. And other base running issues like that. The L1, and then like L1 sucks a lot when you advance all runners, and then the highlight a runner and send them home also doesn't work frequently too. And I can't tell you how often that is fucking frustrating. You're just highlighting the whole time, telling him to go home, and he doesn't react to you. So lack of user input on the base running also hurts. As for Diamond Dynasty, pitching right now, I think pitching's fine where it is. Like obviously, if you hit, I'm almost to this third inning program. If you hit your thing perfectly and the ball gets hung, that's very frustrating. But I know control ratings play into that fact, and there's really, I mean, that's the reason for control ratings. So if you hang a ball even though you throw it perfectly, I hate it. Maybe it shouldn't act like that. Maybe it show you that you missed slightly if it's going to be hung. But a perfect pitch should ideally go pretty close to where it was perfectly thrown. But if you miss it slightly, I'm fine with it going. Like if you're on a curveball and you hang it because you missed it, that's fine. So I think pitching is the best part of the game right now, at least analog style. Not to say there isn't any frustration, but I think there are more frustrations with fielding, hitting, and running. But as for Diamond Dynasty, my biggest frustrations with this have to revolve around the cards release. Now, Madden is a very progression-based system, so cards early in the year can't compete with cards later in the year. In this game, they have a great system where live series cards upgrade and downgrade based off the roster update every 2 weeks or so for the big one. And I love it. Now, my frustration with this game, and this is last week, is the fact that these new cards coming out and the cards to the XP reward path are just so much better than other cards. And they're basically endgame cards. Like we had endgame Willie Mays, Ivan Rodriguez, Hornsby, day one. If that's okay, that's okay. You know, that is what it is. There's nothing good or bad about it. I would prefer those being like a 95 overall day one card, so that way we have room to grow, room to kind of explore those players that they get like higher up overall. Maybe you're fine having those being fine, and that's fine. You can go ahead and share that opinion in the comments. I have a big issue with some of these things coming out in the game. Some of these, like Matt Williams is significantly better than Mike Trout. Like there's no balance between the live series and these cards. Mike Trout will probably get a signature series card, but at no point in Matt Williams' entire career was he better than Mike Trout, right? There was no reason there. Like a lot of these things, Michael Young, he's currently better than Trout. One better overall than Trout. And this is like, it's so weird. Like, do we want a game solely focused around guys without any quirks being the best player in the game? Eno Slaughter was a great player. But there's so many other players that here are just like, yeah, they're fine. McCann, like, Brian McCann, really? That good? Adam Dunn? Your contact's way too high. No, that's Jones. Sorry, Dunn. So some of it's a little strange with how they make the players too. And that's something I feel like it should be balanced a little bit. Like these Signature Series cards maybe shouldn't come out so high overall immediately, because these are endgame cards right now. Like Ricky Henderson, you'll be seeing this card next March when people are still playing this game as the best left fielder. Maybe they patch the game to make power more worth it, and then he isn't on everybody's squad. But right now, like that's a god tier card. I'm also showing like one thing that I wanted to see was a good like Jimmy Fox, because I'm selfish, or Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, and they don't have a lot of those older top cards yet, which is not a bad thing. It's just something I kind of want to see a little bit of those older sluggers early on, rather than Alomar's cool, but I don't know, he doesn't really get the juices going. So that's a frustration that we don't have those good out first basemen yet. And I think its market is way superior to Madden's market. This bid-ask system, buy now, sell now system, is so good. It's so nice. I love it. But yeah, there's no real room for growth going forward. Like, I don't see a future with this game, because this is like Madden right now. A lot of the cards are just going to be the same going forward. Like, they've already hit their max. Babe Ruth will have 125s across the board, and that'll be cool. But yeah, I mean, there's still a little bit of room for growth. But so that's maybe I don't see as huge a future with cards that are going to come out very similar to cards we already have. I think moments were a great addition to this year's game. I think they're a wonderful addition. The problem is sometimes how they're done. I think a lot of the moments there's either they're very like weird to do, like the stolen base things where they put people on base in front of you, so you can't really steal a base. That kind of sucks. Sometimes it's like weird, like the home runs. They for some reason don't let you home run. Like, it got a lot better since they patched it, but early in the year there was a lot of frustration. So hopefully they learn from moments going forward and make them better, and not so like weirdly difficult. So moments aren't bad. I miss a little bit of the career arc stat grind. I know people are like, oh, you're crazy, that stat grind was terrible. But I do miss it a little bit from last year for getting good career arc players. You still see it a little bit with some of like the affinity to get these kind of just innings with the players. But there's nothing like to have these players in your lineup to grind out like home runs or stolen bases or hits or anything like that. A couple years ago, they had those overall stat missions. It provided a lot of stubs into the economy from basically getting certain levels of like number of stolen bases with your whole team. That was kind of fun to do that. They took it out for 18, and they just don't have anything like that in 19 either. So that's tough. The conquest maps and them doing a lot of conquest maps, that's absolutely freaking A+. Love conquest. I love all this. This is a huge, great addition to the game. So good, positive pros right there. So yeah, those are a lot of the issues. The patches, to kind of like go through my last big issue. So the hitting was fine when the game launched, and maybe that's just because we were like in a new game. The hitting worked pretty well from what we saw as we moved up the ranks. It was very rewarding, much better than 18. They patched it to 1.06, and they didn't mention anything. The only mention of it was that it changed fielding or changed hitting was from Ramon, where he said on stream, "Oh, we slightly patched late timing hits or something like that." And like, you worked all off season, you got all your game testers, you had a beta, you had all this going to fix hitting, and then you patch it within 2 weeks of launch, and it's like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? Why would you change it this early in the game? Let it play out for a month or two, and then by now, they should have patched it. They patched it again in 1.09, 1.10. They've patched it again and again. It's feeling a little bit better, but not quite near where it needs to be for hitting, in my opinion. But it definitely feels better than it did after 1.06. So they're trending in the right direction, like I said. But it was just such a confusing thing why they changed the hitting, fielding, any type of system within a couple weeks of launch after spending 6-9 months trying to go from 18 to 19. But you spend another month or two taking feedback from the community, then patch it. I'm much more comfortable with that. So and they have taken out some weird things, but then they've introduced new errors, like pitchers pitching with the wrong hand. I've seen those animations. I've seen other things with like the batter, the reliever thing came in for a little bit and wouldn't allow you to like see the strike zone at all. The reliever card stuck over the strike zone. They repatched that out. So that's my biggest issue with patches. Sometimes they go so quick with them, they can't properly test them, and like these new bugs come up and make the game worse than it was. Even though you fix some things, it feels like you took a step back at sometimes. So that's why I like a lot of like quick patches are cool if they work, as long as new bugs aren't introduced that makes the game worse. Like we see this with Madden with the fall forward bug. So I hope they take their time. I might come back to the game. Like I said, I'll still be playing the game just on my own time. I won't be making YouTube content. But that's kind of what happened. That's I don't foresee myself trying to grind for World Series ranked this year or this season, maybe. I mean, it's only 10 games I got to win. I can't lose any games, of course. Like, yeah. Yachty is close to an endgame card right now, or basically is. And he's pretty freaking cheap. He will be very cheap on the market, much cheaper than Rodriguez. So go ahead and grab yourself Yachty when a lot of people make that World Series, which shouldn't be too long for now. He should be lowering in price pretty soon. Down to about 50K or so within a couple of weeks. So there it is. My main gripes with MLB The Show and why I'm not going to make content on it. I just lost my luster, and I don't want to make content on something that I'm not passionate about. So I don't want to phone it in. For MLB The Show, I don't want to make videos where I don't feel like I'm putting a good effort into it, or I'm putting out good content. Even though I can, even though it's easy, I don't want to do that or be that person. So back to Madden and on to Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the Total War series. I don't know if I'll be putting, like I said, putting those videos up on YouTube, but that's it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you agree, disagree with some of the complaints. Like I said, overall, game's still solid, but that's how she breaks. Until next year for YouTube, or maybe I get a passion again. Who knows the future? Thanks for watching. Call to action. I'll see you tomorrow.